Guys, welcome to another video. I am very excited about today's video. I feel that these short lessons have a lot of just a lot of quality in them. And yes, I surely know that God is doing something, and I trust that even this stirs our faith as a whole. This topic about faith, and today I want to talk about your expectation. So, what is an expectation? How do I put an expectation upon God? How do I expect of Jesus? And I just want to start off with what Scripture teaches on what our expectation is. So, here are a couple of different scriptures that I want to read from, starting in Luke chapter 7. Now, there are multiple times where different people approaches Jesus in a way, and he defines their approach as faith. So we have to understand that Jesus is God. What he says is supreme. So when somebody approaches Jesus and there is the words, your faith, we have to take that seriously, because you can look at what the English dictionary says about faith. You can look at the Greek definition. You can literally look at any definition of faith, but God's opinion about faith is more important than any other opinion about faith. So, when looking at what does faith mean, I want to read from Luke chapter 7. It is from verse 1 to 10. We see the centurion man approaching Jesus. He approaches Jesus, and he actually he sent some of his servants to call Jesus, because he had a very valuable slave girl and he wanted her to be well because she was sick. On his way to the centurion man, he reached out to Jesus and said, listen, I am not worthy for you to enter my house. And he says, I am a man who is under authority. I'm also over an oversight. I lead people. So I understand authority. He approaches Jesus in this manner, and he says to Jesus, hey, only say the words. Repeat the words to me so I can repeat them to her. And Jesus was amazed at this man's faith. Jesus, in verse 10, defines this man's actions as faith. Now, when Jesus says something like this, we have to take it seriously. There is another account in Luke chapter 37 to 39. So, we look at this story where a sinful woman approaches Jesus at a Pharisee's house. She anoints Jesus' feet with her expensive perfume. And while others are shocked and judge her, Jesus welcomes her faith. Despite her past, she approaches Jesus, entrusting his mercy and his grace for her. Jesus once again responds to this woman's actions as, lady, your faith has saved you. Your faith has made you well. And once again, when Jesus mentions something like this, we have to take it seriously. The final story is literally just the next chapter. It is chapter 8, verse 43 to 48. It is a similar story where there was a woman with a discharge of blood for 12 years. She continued to remind herself, if only I touch the hem of his garment, if only I touch the hem of his garment, I will be made well. And as she, who was at that stage an unclean woman, according to the law and the traditions, as she went into the city illegally, she touched the hem of Jesus' garment, and immediately Jesus felt power leave his body. He responded to this woman and he asked, who touched me? This woman felt feeling guilty, because an undefiled person touching another person means you undefile that person. This was the law, this was the tradition. So this woman who was unclean couldn't touch other people, or else she would make them unclean. So this lady had to take that risk of saying, hey, I am going to trust what I've heard, and I'm just going to touch him. And as soon as Jesus responded in shame, she came forward and said, hey, listen, it was actually me that touched you. Jesus' response to her once again in verse 48 is, daughter, your faith has made you well. Go in peace. So when Jesus defines faith, we have to take note. What is something that is similar in each of these three stories? What is something that we can notice that these people had? And I think there is something that we can just off the spot say, it was a risk to approach Jesus in this manner. You have to take a risk when approaching Jesus. This woman, the sinful woman in chapter 7, undignified herself. The woman with the discharge of blood, she took this risk, even humbling herself and surrounding herself with people she's not allowed to be with. And the centurion, a man of great authority, understanding authority, he humbled himself. But what caused them to act in this way? And what caused Jesus to define it as faith? And here is something. Each and every one of these individuals had an expectation that if they encounter Jesus, something is going to change. And this is why I say faith is an expectation. Jesus looks at your expectation and he considers that as about 2 years ago, a group of friends and myself, we were reading through the book of Acts. For an entire month, we studied in depth the book of Acts. It caused something to stir in our hearts. And I remember this was during the December holidays, which in South Africa is like the summer holidays leading up to the new year. And I so specifically remember God starting to speak to us about something that he's going to do in the new year. And we were raised in an expectation. We were so excited about the new year to start. And we know that just like what happened in the book of Acts, we will see it happen in this year. In the following year, this group of friends, we can all testify that God has done something great because we put an expectation on him. We almost put a demand on him. I saw multiple miracles even through the window of my coffee shop. Kids supposed to go for operations, getting healed by the power of God. 2 ladies getting healed from cancer in the coffee shop. And many more miracles. Children giving their lives to Jesus. I remember one specific day, we were supposed to go only speak to 5 people. By chance, 300 people ended up being there, and over 100 of them surrendering their lives to Jesus. And I'm still living in the overflow of the expectation that I had back then. And surely God has increased my expectation. But I know for sure that God saw that and he considered that faith, and he didn't meet it on that standard. He even exceeded our expectations. There were 3 different occasions when I left my hometown and I went to a different city. And every single one of these times that I left my city, I said, God, I need you to come and speak to me. On every single one of these occasions, God came through and he spoke to me through the most random people. And as you can see here at the back, I don't know if the sign is still up, but 33 has always been a sign that God is speaking to me. On every single one of these occasions, I drove over 2 hours, but I didn't know what I'm doing there, but I know I have an expectation. Literally me putting feet outside of that city, someone will approach me. The one lady said, hey, I wrote 33 different letters that I feel that have scripture and that are prophetic words for people in season. And immediately she said, choose one. And I knew I have to choose number 33. Another time, a guy gave me a Bible with Jeremiah 33 verse 3 written on the front page, and my latest one was actually my fiance's father, where he prophesied Job 33 over my life. At that stage of my life, it was turning point moments. I call it a 33 moment. And now I know if I put a demand on God, He is always willing to meet and exceed my expectations. Here is just a quick prayer that I want you to pray with me, is that, Father, help me increase an expectation on you. Help me expect upon you. Even if you have to jump in the car and drive 2 hours, if you know God is working miracles through a man of God, jump in the car, drive to him if you need a miracle. Like, God will come and meet your expectation. If you travel a distance out of expectation, even that will increase your capacity to receive from Him. So may this be an encouragement for you to truly expect on Him. Start praying this prayer: Lord, increase my expectation. Increase my expectation, and just watch Him do something. I've seen countless miracles through people not expecting on me, but expecting on Him, and God will heal them. God will deliver them. God will restore them. So may He do the same for you today. Be blessed and be encouraged.